Hi, I'm Dr. Bliss and I make beer sometimes, but I haven't made a video in ages. And there's a couple reasons why. Number one, I've been really busy this summer doing other things. Number two, making videos is hard. It's hard enough to find time to put a brew on, let alone film the whole process. And number three, the last two videos that I made for this channel were rubbish. They were so boring. So I've got a new idea, and it starts with this unmarked brown beer bottle. This is a bottle of Saison De La Lune, which is a made-up recipe that I made up exactly a year ago. And this is the last bottle of it. I've been hiding it, preserving it for today so I can experience how it's aged. Now, a little bit about this recipe, other than it used Lannemon's farmhouse yeast, which is a really interesting hybrid Saison yeast that's non-diastatic. Lots of roasted malts, I believe there's quite a lot of Carafa 2 in this. Yeah, hopped with SARS, I think Magnum and SARS. And yeah, bottle conditioned, and it's now been bottle conditioned for an entire year. So I'm really excited to see how this tastes. When I was originally drinking it, which would have been last winter, it was lovely, chocolatey, very rich with that little bit of Belgian spice. So let's see how it's aged. Oh yeah, it's about 7% alcohol as well, about 7-ish, just under maybe. Okay, well, still carbonated obviously. It has a sort of stoutish appearance. The clarity actually is really good. Doesn't smell like a Guinness. I'm sure you'd probably expect it to smell like a Guinness, but it doesn't. Lovely head, creamy head. Just straight up chocolate. Just straight up chocolate on the nose. Milk chocolate, not even just dark chocolate, like straight up milk chocolate. It's actually so impressive. I forgot how great this beer was. Let's go in for a sip. Absolutely spectacular. Unbelievably smooth now as well. Not that it wasn't smooth before, but lovely bit of sweetness that just gives it this rich, just sort of chocolatey, but also has something reminiscent of a stout. Chocolate, a little bit of spice. Anyway, that's great because that's got nothing to do with this video. This video is going to be a cut up, abridged version of the two videos that I previously made with a little bit of information about my current brew that's in the fermenter right now. So, without further ado, let me cut to the first video. Hi, I'm Dr. Bliss and I make beer sometimes. And today I'm running late, but I've got a really interesting, very exciting brew to get myself ready for the summer. Today I'm doing something quite basic. It's an American wheat beer, something along the lines of Blue Moon, but I'm gonna be adding raspberries. So we're gonna have a raspberry wheat beer. Super excited. So we've got 1 kilogram of low colour Maris Otter. This is Simpson's Maris Otter. Of course, this is a wheat beer, so we have wheat. We have 500 grams of wheat malt and 500 grams of, this way around, torrefied wheat, which is kind of like popcorn popped wheat. I didn't want it to be too malty, so I didn't want to do a whole kilo of malted wheat, so I've decided to do half and halves with some torrefied wheat. 200 grams of Cara Red. This is what Weiermann's Cara Red. Enhances the colour, slightly darkens it maybe, but sort of gives it maybe a little bit of extra vibrancy, as well as some sweetness that will go really nicely with the raspberries, as well as some sort of richer flavours. An amount of grams of aromatic malt. Some people describe it as like almost like melanoid in malt, but I've also read that it's got a lot of honey notes to it and sort of sweet notes. Guess it's time to get it in. Oh wait, mash temperature, 67. Goodness me, that looks great. And here is a quick video of me doing a review of Hawkstone Lager, and my opinion is... and it is absolutely glorious. It's really good. Part of what I edited out is a long and lengthy explanation onto what a Sparge plate is and how it works. Here's a very quick explanation of what it does. And what that does is it allows the water to basically build up on top of this plate, but then it drips down equally across the whole grain bed, so you get an even sparge and you get better efficiency. Only one hop addition in this beer, and guess who it is? Pacific Sunrise. Still relatively fresh in my freezer. It's a resealable packet, so I know I can push all the air out and be okay. And it's fairly high alpha acid. It's 12.8. Oh, I did my recipe calculation for the last beer as 9.8. The chiller's on now. We're down to about 30 degrees. I made a mistake and I'm cross about it. One of the Jubilee clips wasn't tight enough. It's leaked tap water into the brew. I noticed it pretty much as soon as I saw it. I noticed it pretty much straight away. I think I probably only put maybe 100 or 200 mils of tap water into the brew, so not too much, but I'm disappointed. I don't like tap water in my brews. It's full of chlorine, full of chloramine. I've set this beer up to be great, and now it won't be. Well, I don't know. Yeah, it hasn't been fermented yet. It might be fine, but yeah, just disappointing. The yeast that I'm using is USO5, one of the world's most used strains of yeast, probably. Yeah, it's an American ale strain. It's very well regarded. It's very, very consistent. High attenuator, fast fermenter. It does everything you want to do. Very clean. Not much in terms of esters and flavors. Pretty much just a straight up ale yeast. And I think that's perfect for this. I pretty much just want to concentrate on the raspberry flavor mixed with the wheat and all the different malt additions. So really the cleanest, quickest ferment possible is what I'm going for. So USO5 was the easy choice. You might be wondering, where is the raspberries? Where are the raspberries? Well, some people like to put their raspberries in at the end of the boil. Some people like to put them in post-boil during fermentation. For me, I'm going to do it almost like it was a dry hop. I'm going to put it in at the very tail end of fermentation after the krausen has dropped. I have 8 packs of raspberries, but we're not going to worry about that until fermentation is done. So it's been just under 48 hours. As you can see, we do have a significant krausen going on here. We have been generating some pressure as well, so things are looking good. Now, it's been less than 48 hours and I can already see the krausen peeling itself back from the edge. So once that krausen has fully dropped, which I'm expecting is going to take at least a couple more days, then we'll think about adding the fruit. Okay, so we're at day 5 of fermentation and the krausen has fallen. It's starting to fall down the conical into the collection jar at the bottom. Now, it's probably going to take another day or two to actually finish doing that, but now would be the perfect time to start preparing the raspberries. So let's get started. Oh, finally. I've run out of gas. So I've added in the raspberries now, as you can see. It's darker than your average raspberry wheat beer probably would be, but I quite like that. Now, I only really have one concern from this whole process, and that's to do with thermal shock. The brew was sitting at about 23 degrees, and the raspberry puree that I put in had been in the fridge I didn't really think that one through. Didn't really think of it having much of an effect. But the brew is now sitting at 17 degrees, which is a big crash. And I'm concerned about how the yeast are going to react to that. I don't think they're going to like it very much. So we'll just have to wait and see. The heat belt is on, but the damage is done. So we're going to see if we can get it back up to 20 degrees and see where it goes from there. I've also cranked down the spunding valve. I've run out of gas, 2 videos in a row run out of gas. So I've just left it at what it is, which is just under 5, and I've just sort of cranked down the spunding valve. So we'll check it out in the morning. The biggest concern about thermal shock killing the yeast is the flavours that can come from dead yeast. Dead yeast cells with burst cell walls tend to leach pretty horrible flavours. It's called yeast autolysis, if you'd like to look into it more. But that's my biggest concern right now. But I really can't worry about it because the damage is done. So, well, if there even is any damage, we'll find out. What's done is done. Que sera, sera. And goodness me, it looks brilliant. Now, this has only been bottle conditioning for a week today actually, but I'm still going to get to try this beer today because I chucked some of it in this plastic PET bottle and I force carbed it in the fridge this week. I hope it's carbed well. Oh, that doesn't look very carbed at all. Uh-oh. Bit of a carbonation fail, I think. The smell, a little bit sulfury. I was getting that after the raspberry edition. I thought it might just be left over from the Campden tablet. Maybe I overdosed it a bit. It's pretty alright, it's not too bad. There is some carbonation, but obviously didn't have the pressure enough. Now there is strong sort of raspberry notes on the nose. It's just raspberry mixed with sulfur, no beer smell at all. Right, let's go in for the taste. I'm not sure it's for me. Very tart, very zingy. Virtually no malt character, no hop character. Just tastes like really tart raspberry juice. And it's not bad. No, it's bad. It's pretty bad. Maybe it's just not for me.
I think it was just not for me because a few other people that tried it afterwards said they quite enjoyed it.
Is what it is. On with the next one. It's always a learning process. I'm Dr. Bliss. Go have a beer. Now moving on to the second brew. This was an interesting brew. This was for a friend of mine's wedding. Now, the back end of this video didn't really get filmed properly because plans changed. The beer didn't end up getting used for the wedding. Although there is a funny story about that. Probably shouldn't say about that one. Here's the second video.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bliss and I make beer sometimes. And right now, I'm half asleep. It's 7 AM, which is early for me, on a Saturday morning. And I'm about to put a brew on that needs to be finished by midday. So yeah, today we're doing a Munich Helles, which is probably my favourite beer style of all time. It's going to be a pretty straightforward one. No bells and whistles, but I got some interesting things to talk about. So should be fun. No step mash today. Can't be bothered. Grains. Keeping it simple-ish. 3 kilos. Viamans Bohemian Pilsner Malt. This is my favourite Pilsner Malt of all time. It's great. 500 grams of Golden Promise. I just love what this does. Only a little bit. But it just imparts a nice sweetness. And I like it. An amount, I'll check the recipe and put it up on the screen now. An amount of Carapils, of course. 100 grams of Cara Munich. Oh, this isn't Cara Munich, this is Cara Red. And 100 grams of aromatic malt. So we're all meshed in, and I'm going to do something that I've never done before today. It's an exciting first because I've got some new tech to talk about. When it comes to making light lagers, there's one thing that is a really big deal that a lot of beginners kind of ignore because it's a little bit scary, and that is pH. Now, the fundamental truth is that light coloured grains don't contain much acidity. As a result, in a light coloured beer, the mash is usually quite far out in terms of pH. It's usually way too high. Now, the way to fix this is to measure the mash pH and adjust it. Now, measuring the mash pH requires, obviously, a pH meter, which I now have. Now, I've already calibrated this yesterday. I used it to check my star sand, so I know it's working, I know it's calibrated. And in terms of adjustment, I have some lactic acid. This is 80% lactic acid. Now, in my research, I discovered it's very important that you use the liquid form of lactic acid. Don't use the powdered form. The substrate that it's in, that sort of powdery substance, is alkaline, so it kind of just pH buffers it, and it doesn't really work. So get the liquid. You only need very, very small amounts, and it's best to measure and then adjust and then measure. So don't rely on the brew father calculations. You have to measure and then adjust, otherwise you can really overshoot it, and that's a really bad thing. Predicted pH for this mash right now is 5.6 or maybe 5.65, and what we're aiming for is between 5.2 and 5.3. That's specific really for Pilsners and Helles and other lagers. So
You know what time it is? It's 1 pint stein time. Ow, I splashed my face.
So as we slowly approach rolling boil, as you can see, I've got the old diagonal drainy doodah. Time to talk a little bit about hops. Really simple hop schedule today. German noble hops, Hallertau Mittelfrüh. Actually the same pack that I used for the breakfast lager. Should be about 50 grams in here. I'm going to do 30, I think I'll have to double check. I think it's 30 grams at 60 minutes and 20 grams at 15 minutes.
Chiller's in. Protoflock's in. 15-minute hop addition is in. Everything seems okay for now. This has been a very successful brew day so far. I'm terrified that something's going to go wrong. Now we've reached the point in the brew where it's time to pitch the yeast. Now the yeast we're using today for this brew is one that's really exciting. It is an absolute first for me. This is White Labs WLP 860, which is their Munich Helles strain. This is also available in Y Yeast, but I think it's their Munich Lager 2. But it's part of their private collection, so you can only get it certain times a year. You can also get this as Imperial L17, and you can also get it as Omega Labs Bayern. Now you may be thinking, what does this mean? What am I talking about? Well, this is the Augustiner strain. So it's a famous brewery in Munich, renowned really for their Helles, and it is a wonderful Helles. Now this yeast is a fantastic performer. It's a fantastic attenuator, flocculator, it's low sulfur, low diacetyl, happy with temperatures. It's what I want, and it ferments incredibly cleanly whilst retaining a little bit of that German lager character. So I'm super excited for this. Now, obviously this is a wet yeast. I've never used wet yeast before. So a day before the brew, I set up a yeast starter using a 2-litre Erlenmeyer flask and a stir plate. Now I kept that going. Obviously doing this didn't exactly go to plan. What now? Flip. Abandon ship. Abandon ship. Communal garden idiot, I think. It's now pitching time, and we've got a nice, healthy, high pitch rate starter. So let's go for it. The current yeast temperature is 24.6 degrees. I couldn't get it colder than 23 point something. That was with ice packs all around the fermenter. Just couldn't get it cold. And it got to the point where I had no choice. I was waiting too long. I had to pitch. It's up 5%, 5 psi, 5 psi. It's at 5 psi pressure. It is what it is right now. We'll just see what comes out of it. There's nothing I can do. I'm starting to wonder if I'm not really good at this. The end. Maybe I should just stop making videos. I'm actually wondering maybe I should just stop making videos.
Now, obviously I must have taken that to heart because I basically stopped filming from this point onwards. Unfortunately, the beer never ended up getting served at the wedding, or at least not in an official capacity, due to sort of legal issues. But it was a very, very good Hellas lager, and everyone who tried it enjoyed it. And yeah, I was very proud of it. It was very authentic. It looks very hazy there, but it did drop clear eventually. Obviously, that had only been in the fridge for like a week. It was in the fridge for like 6 weeks. But yeah, it was very good. And overall, I would say it was a good success.
I hope that was sufficient for you. I hope you enjoyed that little compilation, little abridged version of the best bits, the interesting bits at the very least, of the last 2 brews. Hopefully I'll be making videos soon. Please don't expect anything because it's a lot of work to make videos, I promise you now. But as long as you're enjoying them, I'll put them out. Anyway, I'm Dr. Bliss. Go have a beer.